what she does next. Then she tries to work it out her own way. She says, Jesus, tell her to get in here and help me. You know, Jesus, if I'm going to be miserable in the kitchen, so is my sister. She's going to go through my misery. I want her to be just as miserable as I am right now. She deserves it. And then Jesus, you know, Jesus looks at her and says, Martha, Martha, you're bothered by so many things. Sure she is. I just told you what all she was doing in the kitchen. Sure she's bothered by many things, all the preparation and the fire temperatures and getting things done and doing this and doing that. And he said, Martha, Martha, Mary's chosen what's really important here. She's chosen what's really important. Only a few things are necessary. And in this case, really, only one thing was necessary. And that was to sit at Jesus' feet, to recognize that he was there in the house, and to listen. To listen. To acknowledge his presence there and the power that he brought with him. So there we are. He says, Martha, you've got to relax. Well, that's easier than said than done, isn't it? That's easier said than done. Well, that's where we turn to Proverbs chapter 3, especially verses 5 and 6. Make note of those verses. And the next time you feel stressed out, I'd suggest you turn to those verses. Proverbs chapter 3, verses 5 and 6. Listen to what this passage tells us. It says, trust in the Lord with all your heart. Do not lean on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he will make your paths straight. He will make your paths straight. There's 4 words here that imply some action. He talks about trusting, about not leaning on your own understanding, about acknowledgement, and about making straight paths. Now it's interesting. The first 3 things belong to us. It's talking to us. You have some things to do here. That's what this writer is saying. You know, you have some things to do here. First of all, you need to trust God. You need to trust God with all your heart. And I think that all your heart is important because let's face it, the heart is where we have our emotions, our feelings. And what he's saying here is when you trust God, really mean it. Don't just say, oh yeah, I trust God. Say, trust God with your heart. Trust God and mean it. Really mean that you trust in him. He said, don't lean on your own understanding. Don't lean on your own understanding. Because many times our understanding is clouded. And it can be biased. And we really can't see the full picture most of the time. He says, be careful of that. But don't lean on your own understanding. And in all your ways acknowledge. In other words, whatever you're going through, recognize that God is there. Recognize God and acknowledge him in all your ways. When that happens, then comes God's part. Then we come to God's part in this. Then we come to God's part. He will make your paths straight. He will make your paths straight in your life. Trusting God. You know, this writer, he understands there are going to be setbacks in life. There are going to be times that we're just really, we feel like we're under all the pressure of the world. Sometimes the problems we face are going to seem bigger and more awesome than we can handle or want to handle in life. Sometimes life will not have the answers to the questions that we're asking. All of this can happen. But you know, there's something Jesus talked about. One time I remember Jesus was talking, he said, you know, don't fear those who can hurt the body, but those who can hurt the soul. What Jesus is saying there is, it's not necessarily what happens outside of us. It's not necessarily what happens to me, but it's what happens in me. That's the key to this whole thing. It's not what happens to me in life, but it's what happens in me. trust and confidence in Him and really mean it. And when you don't lean on your own understanding, that leaning on our own understanding, when I lean on something, I'm going to lean on something that I think is going to be strong enough to hold me up. And I think what this psalmist is, or what the writer of Proverbs is implying, is that when we lean on our own understanding, our own limited knowledge, that isn't necessarily going to be strong enough to hold us up in those stressful and those worrisome times. It's just not going to do it. He says, I've got something better. Don't lean on your own strength, but lean on the very strength of God Himself. Lean on the very strength of God Himself. And when you do that, you continue to understand more and more that God is there. That we begin to recognize God in all parts of life. That's what it says about recognizing God. Acknowledging Him in all your ways. Notice that it says, in all your ways acknowledge Him. Not just in the major things or the minor things, the big things, the little things. All your ways acknowledge God. Recognize God is there. Acknowledge God's presence. And when those things fall into place, it says, He'll make your path straight. He'll make your path straight. See, it's a two-way street. It doesn't just happen. But we have to begin to trust God. Recognize Him. Lean on Him. This morning we sang that opening hymn. Leaning on the everlasting arms. I hope you listen to the words of that. Leaning on the everlasting arms. Safe and secure from all alarms. Leaning on the everlasting arms. That's what we do. We lean on those arms of God. And He makes our path straight, which means, now what it says there, it doesn't say, I walk this crooked path and God's going to straighten it out behind me. No, God doesn't go along and fix all the stuff behind us. But it says, in the path you're going to walk, He'll give you some light, direction, and He'll be there. And He's going to make straight your paths. Now, some of those paths may go uphill, downhill, whatever. But at least we know what direction we're going home. He will make your paths straight. And these are promises for us today, now. Of course, we might say, you really don't have any clue where I'm at. You don't know what kind of stress I'm facing. You don't know how hard it is for me. You're probably right. And when I pray for individuals who are on our prayer list through the week, I don't know how much stress that they're going through or their families are going through. But you know one thing I do know? When I trust in God and lean on Him and recognize His presence, He knows. He understands. That's good enough for me. And I can lift those prayers up knowing that God is there to make those paths straight for others and for us. And understanding that God can handle all the areas of my life. Not just some, but all the areas of my life. That's His promise. All your ways. All your paths. You wrote down earlier on that sheet of paper those things that bring you stress. I want you to do something with that. Just think of that for a moment. That which brings the stress and the worry, the hardship in your life. I want you to take it.